Hey everybody, this is Jeff from Central Texas Tennis, and I wanted to take a few minutes to make a video because I have received several emails in the past. I've had parents ask me different questions about 10 and under tennis, and obviously this video is for parents that have kids in a 10U program, whether it's local or somewhere else. Um, I've had some parents ask me or tell me that their instructors, what they'll do is they won't do the orange ball, they won't do red ball, they won't even do a transitional green dot ball, that they'll just kind of skip around in their practice and go directly to yellow ball and play on a 78-foot court, which is regular size court. Um, so if you're a parent out there and you've got the kids in there, I'm going to tell you now that your kids are going to have an extremely difficult time adjusting to that ball um, in the short and long run. And I mean short run as in right now because it's going to be virtually impossible for them to learn, and long run as in probably the next couple of years. And I really mean kids between the ages of 5 to, I would say, 10, maybe even 11. Once they hit that 12 and 13 age, it's a little bit different. But you know, those that prime age to start teaching tennis from 5 to 10, you need to start doing the 10 and under tennis. So if again parents have somebody enrolled in the program, they need to be hitting orange balls or they need to be hitting red balls, and it's all development and it's technique and it's also application, meaning that the kids play orange ball or red ball, they need to go and participate in orange ball tournaments or red ball tournaments, whatever their level is. Trust me when I say this because I've actually tried to do this before. If you try to skip those, number one, let's back up for a second. You can't skip it. USTA is going to mandate that you go through that system. There's no way around it. You can go and play junior opens if you'd like to, but at the same time, your kids are going to get killed in those tournaments. They're not going to win. And those of you out there who are thinking, okay, well, it's for experience, it's for, they got to learn. Yeah, that gap is really, really big. Okay, you have a really, really big gap there as opposed to them learning in 10 and under tennis, the gap is shorter. So, meaning that if you put a 7 or 8 year old, we'll say 8 year old, we'll keep it somewhat reasonable. If you have an 8 year old and you put them into a junior open, and they can play anybody, and they're going to get beat because the kids are too young. They're not going to be able to cover the court, and and I will say this. Um, Maybe one out of, I don't know, maybe 1,000 kids that I've ever seen, and me personally, all the hundreds of kids that I've ever coached and taught tennis to, maybe one or two kids out of my 15 years of teaching, have I ever run into anybody who I thought was capable of keeping up with a 78, the full court, 78 full court with a regular yellow ball. That's one, maybe two kids. Out of that, no one else has been able to do that. And yes, I do agree with some of the pros out there that some kids they'll grow and they'll develop into it, but the chances of that happening are like, I don't know, they're very slim. It's probably not going to happen. So your kids need to be doing 10 and under tennis. Number one, it's a requirement. Again, your kids need to compete. Remember, they're in programs to compete. They're not in a program just to go and play. They're in a program to go learn tennis and to go compete in a 10 and under format. So if you have a coach or if you have somebody saying, hey, they need to skip that and start going to yellow ball, then they are going to get slaughtered when they go play yellow ball. Remember that I said this because I've seen this happen several times. Your kids need to go through that system. There's a reason why it's there, and for everybody out there who's thinking that, hey, USTA is trying to scam us by doing a 10 and under program, I was that person in the beginning. I thought the same thing, but after doing 10 and under and being a part of the program for so many years now, I see, and I've had kids that have transitioned literally from red, orange, green dot, all the way to yellow, and it works. The program does work. Now, if you have what you would think a prodigy, if you have a prodigy that comes out, maybe you take them aside and you start working with them with yellow ball. Keep in mind that they still have to compete in 10 and under tennis, and that's the system. And those of you who do not know the story, Andy Roddick himself tried to beat the system by not having his nephew play. There is a news article about this. This is a real thing. This happened. Even Andy Roddick could not beat that system. His nephew had to go through it step by step. So if your kids are enrolled in a program and they are 10 and under, they need to be doing 10 and under tennis. That's just the way it is. You cannot have them just skip and go to yellow ball and expect them to be successful. That's just not the way it works. That's very old school. That's very traditional. And obviously, we're in 2018 now. We're not in 1985 anymore. So it is. By the way, that's the year I was born. So look, I mean, it's simple. Follow the system. Follow it. If you've got kids in a program, go and tell your pro that they need to be doing 10 and under tennis. Period. That's it. And unless the pro is good enough to tell you and your kid is good enough to go and compete in yellow ball, then they have no business in there at all. So they need to stay with 10 under tennis. Trust me, I've had kids. Most of you out there, if you watch this video, I've had Mason Knight, who's one of my kids. It was a transition for her because 10 and under back then was not required. So she was doing yellow ball. I have videos of her doing yellow ball and then going back to 10 and under. And yes, it was a transition, but it's a system. And what it does is it gives kids experience. It teaches them, I mean, sportsmanship. It teaches them just so many things. Scorekeeping. I mean, understanding how to travel. I mean, plus, you know, the 10 and under tournaments are half day. So they're not, you know, it gives everybody an idea of how this works as you progress as a not only as a parent, as a tennis parent, but as the kids progress and they're getting better and better and better. So please keep that in mind if wherever you are. You know, we do 10 and under tennis every single day. We have beginner groups, we've got academy level groups and training groups. I mean, they need to have a structure set up to where your kids are progressing, whether they start with red ball or orange or whatever they're starting with. Make sure that you're doing 10 and under format. I promise you, take my word for it, it works. It is not a scam. I don't know how they would be scamming you. I mean, USTA memberships are practically free for kids. So it is an attempt for USTA to get kids involved. And, you know, however you see it. If you think it's a scam, then you think it's a scam. But at least do it for the kids because that's what the kids need. That's what makes them successful. So I hope this video helps out everybody, parents that have kids enrolled in programs. So, you know, unless your kid is just an absolute prodigy, then they need to stay with 10 and under tennis. That's just the system they have to do. It is a requirement. There is no beating the system. So, all right, till next time. Parents, continue to email me because I love these kinds of questions, and it's great. So, and this is for Jolene Friedman. If you're out there, I ordered you some glasses so you can call Lines Better. Have a good day.